The question is, how do we live the experience of this oneness? We hear about the oneness, but how do we live through the experience? But then the doubt comes into the question that says, but can we do anything about it? Because isn't everything hukum? Isn't everything ultimately out of our control? The Guru always answers questions in ways that works for the state of mind that you're in. When you're in the state of the ego, the Guru says, get up and do all of these things. You have to do things. You cannot, in the spiritual path, sit there and say, I'm going to do nothing, I'm going to think nothing, I'm going to meditate on nothing, and I'm going to learn nothing. Well, then you will remain where you are. If you want to see some progress in anything in life, you have to make some changes. You have to do something in order to see the results of that effort. So you do have to do all of these things, and there are so many examples that we've talked about, but ultimately it comes back to this idea of meditating through your ego. Meditating yourself out of your ego. And Naam Simran and Mantra is the way that we can break out of that. But that doesn't just come by doing Naam Simran on its own. You have to do it with the understanding that the Guru gives you. Meditation on its own, mantra on its own is not enough. You have to know the wisdom. You have to contextualize it, so the Guru gives you the understanding that says, this is what you're doing, this is the journey that you're going on, this is where it's heading, these are the roadblocks. You have to have this fuller understanding. So you have to go through all of these steps, you have to do all of this hard work in order to break free from your ego. You can't just sit there and understand the knowledge of the ego. You have to break free from that ego. But ultimately, if you at any point hold on to this idea that I can do it, then you haven't fully let go of the I. This is why Gurbani says that ultimately the final step isn't a step that needs to be taken by the I. It isn't the I that can do everything on its own, because you're trying to get away from the I. So it is all down to hukum, but that doesn't mean that you don't do anything about it. That doesn't mean that you sit back and do nothing.